Well, plenty coming up on the basketball show. Hammer, Bryce Cotton is scathing of BA.
Yeah, and I talked to Derek Rucker and we discuss who are the best three players in the NBL.
And when is Duop Reath getting paid? Let's get into it.
This is the Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
Hey everybody, welcome to the first basketball show of the year, all thanks to Code Sports, Boost Mobile and the Throwback Store. Hope everyone had a great holiday and Christmas with the family. Joe and Hammer, back with you for 2024. Hammer, can't wait for this.
Yeah, well, we've had a little bit of a break, or I have, Joe, with the family, but you haven't. You've been all over the place with the NBL and doing a great job courtside, and can't wait to get stuck into 2024.
Are you a resolution type person?
No.
I'm going to be the best version of myself this year. So too, we hope, is Derek Rucker. He's going to be joining us on the show a little later. And Bryce Cotton as well. So let's get into it. All right, this is our starting five, thanks to the Throwback Store. Hammer, we've got to talk about Duop Reath. Is he about to get paid? He had his first NBA double-double against the Nets, 15 and 13. He had another 16 and 7 against the Mavs before that. He is absolutely balling right now, and he's only on a two-way with the Blazers. When are they going to sign him?
Well, I think it's a great story. I mean, he's been unbelievable, but it's a great story for people about persistence. I mean, you get cut from a contracted spot, you've gone through summer leagues, you become a two-way player, and he's just worked his way up. He started when he had that double-double. Just being able to go to work and show that he is a player for the future. He has to get signed, and he's going to get paid.
Let's hope so, and no doubt he'll feature with the Boomers heavily in Paris at the Olympics as well. Draymond Green is set to return for the Warriors. Now, he said in his podcast that Adam Silver talked him out of announcing his retirement because he was about to make a rash decision. Please tell me you're on the same page. Surely that is all talk. There's no way that he would have made such a stern decision in that moment.
Fluff in the NBA, Joe, on your own podcast. Are you kidding me? No, I mean, I can't wait to see the next chapter. Hopefully this period away has been able to, just beat a bit of sense into him and understand a bit of perspective. He's had a great career where he's at. I mean, he could be on the trade block. We'll wait and see whether that comes to fruition. But just got carried away, went down the wrong direction. And I hope he comes back, with a little bit of freshness about him and he plays basketball the right way.
Exactly right. I think it was really nice. Him and Coach Kerr had a bit of a moment as well. Draymond said that they both cried. They were very honest with how he potentially wants to end his time at the Warriors, given the trade window is only a few weeks away. So hopefully he can sort of smooth things out, and we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Ja Morant is out for the rest of the season, which is such a blow. He literally only played 9 games. Is the Grizzlies season over at this point?
Oh, it's done. But it's a shame for Morant, the Grizzlies, and for the fans because he was putting on a show. He was averaging like 25, 26 points, 8 and 5. And, he was playing some great basketball. You could see that time out, he was revitalized. He was fresh. He's just energetic about being able to get it done. And he was helping the Grizzlies get some wins as well. So, no, there's no doubt they're going to be, in that bottom echelon of teams and probably going for a higher draft pick, I would think, now.
Let's think about next season for Memphis. Ja will be back. Steven Adams will be back. Ride this out and go ham on the league next season, I reckon.
No doubt. There is no doubt. Steven Adams is sort of a little bit that forgotten player, but plays such a valuable role with some of the talent that they've got. So, they get a high draft pick and get a lottery pick and, good things are happening over the next couple of years for the Grizzlies.
All right, closer to home, the NBL ladder. It feels like it's always pretty tight this season. For whatever reason, it feels even tighter. Everyone is causing upsets. Even the 36ers, I don't know if anyone actually expected this. That huge win over Melbourne United. Let's be honest, they ain't making the playoffs. No way. But if they continue to play the way that they are going to cause problems for teams. Likewise, the Taipans, although they've given themselves a chance. How do you see the ladder and the way that it's playing out right now?
Well, it's, as you say, it's unbelievable logjam of teams that can really make a play. The Adelaide 36ers, I just want to touch on them. They were unbelievably impressive in that game against Melbourne. And, you know, give a big clap to Scott Ninnis for being able to work his way through this to be able to get people to play their roles. DJ was incredible. He had 30. Trey Cal has just found another gear in what he's been able to get done. And Scott Ninnis found a better balance for being able to use McCarron and Detch really being able to defend Golding, who had no impact on the game whatsoever because of their defense, and found a way to play Jason Kadee as well. And I think those three initially got benched, but now have found a way and showed people how they can really help the team. So well done to the 36ers.
Big round ahead. They're up against Sydney on Thursday. Who are you predicting for this one? Because although Adelaide, yes, they're coming off the win, I feel like Sydney have to bounce back.
Well, you think they have to bounce back, but it starts with an attitude change for the Sydney Kings. I mean, it was appalling the way they played. I don't know whether you saw the game before, but when they lost their second last game, I think it was, and you saw Jalen Adams after the game laughing, I think it was with DJ Hogue. It said everything to me. I would have been furious if I was a teammate and we just got our ass handed to us and my teammates laughing at the middle of the court. Some people will say, it's nothing. It's only a game and you're allowed to do that. No, and because the way they're playing and the way defensively they're playing, they just don't have the attitude and the energy and the communication. They're not talking to be able to get this done. So they need to make a change really quickly. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves dwindling down the ladder.
I saw someone actually breaking down a few of their defensive plays, and he was the common denominator, JA. He was the one in every single one of them who was lacking and behind in their time and their movement and his effort. So some hard truths, no doubt, after that Bullets game. New Zealand are taking on Melbourne. I've got the Breakers in this one. Given they're playing at home, Melbourne have looked a little lackluster of late. What do you think?
Well, Melbourne have lost 2 of their last 3. They're finally going on the road and you know, they'll find a way to work it out. They're the best team in the league. They're well coached. They're a great defensive team, but they have struggled. And I agree. I think New Zealand can win this game. They will be so disappointed about losing that home game to Perth. And I think that New Zealand's got 3 of the best 10 players in the entire competition with their import combinations. And I think that some of their complementary players and the Kiwis are very good as well. So I think they can win some games. I think they'll start with a win against Melbourne.
Tasmania taking on the Hawks Friday night. I'll be down in Hobart for that one. The Hawks, Hammer, obviously they've been fantastic recently, but the Jack Jumpers on their home court at this stage in the season, I think they'll be too strong.
Yeah, what a job they've done, the Illawarra Hawks. And the way they're playing, I mean, a little bit the same as the way the Adelaide 36ers played last week. They're just rejuvenated, playing together, playing with belief. They'll go down there thinking they can win this game, but I'm with you, Joe. I just think Tassie, they were clinical in that last game against Cairns and playing some really good basketball. They understand how important this home game is. They can't drop this game if they're going to finish in the top 2 on the ladder at the end of the season.
5.
How about this to kick off our Boost Mobile Hoop highlights? Young gun Jalen Smith, too big for Jaylen Brown.
Nice job getting over there to get that block by Jaylen Brown. And, just took Turner out. But there's another shot blocker on the team.
4.
Speaking of young gun, next star Alex Tui goes next level.
Tui flies. Let's take a look at this. Got it in his right hand, hit him with an in and out jab. 3.
Long, Darius Thompson wants to try to come back again. Had a wide open look up top. Oh, Tyreek Jones. Darius Thompson with an incredible left-handed layup early, but look at Tyreek Jones. Francois Poirier, he loves to go up and try to get him. He got one from Vesely the other day.
2.
Boy, really trying to find 2 spots. Such good play by AD. LeBron drained down the top. Look out! Blocking foul.
And against the Clippers, if you don't mind. The man is 39 years old. It's ridiculous.
1.
Here's Smith. Oh, my God! Whoa! Dennis Smith Jr. points.
Holy moly. And how about the reaction from the bench? Dennis Smith with a monster slam. Those are your Hoops highlights this week, thanks to Boost Mobile. Former NBL MVP Derek Rucker is with us now for Points Made. In case you forgot, he once had 24 assists in a game, just FYI. D, how you doing? Maybe get straight into the NBL. Lots of talk around the MVP race at the moment and who is in contention. So let's set the record straight. Who are the best 3 players currently in the league?
The first 2 are pretty easy for me, Joe. I think number 1 is Bryce Cotton. Anybody that doesn't agree with that, Hammer, is just been living in a cave somewhere and has no clue about what's going on. Number 2, I'm not saying he's the best player in the league, but he's having the best season. That's going to be Chris Golden. After that, Hammer, you know who I really think is the most impactful player and the numbers measure up? It's Will Magnay. He's number 3 for me because he changes things. And then after that, you know, if I'm going to go down that line, Joe, if I had somebody for honorable mention, I'm looking at a guy like Ian Clark. So 1 and 2 are easy, and then 3 and 4 are kind of out of left field wild card situations. But Bryce is going to be the MVP. Make no bones about it.
Well, I mean, I agree with Bryce Cotton. I mean, he is by far the best player, and having the best season of any player in the NBL. So he's going to be the MVP. I think he has the biggest impact on his team. But for me, the second best player right now is Anthony Lamb. I mean, I've been watching him closely. He is a very, very good player. He's averaging, 26 and 3. But it's not just his stats. He makes his team better. I'm watching him switch on to big guys and the way he fronts the post and moves around and communicates and does the little things. He's a very, very good player. If he had the same usage as Bryce Cotton, he'd be leading the league without doubt in scoring. For 3, I've got Milton Doyle. And it was a tough one for me, 3. There's a handful of players that could be in there. But Milton Doyle, well, he had a little bit of a rough patch after he went back to America, but he's starting to find his feet again. He is just a very, very well-drilled and solid player for Tassie. I think you've obviously got Golding, who you mentioned. I've also got Jackson Cartwright in there. Alan Williams, if he found a way to be able to use his brain and to be able to play without fouling. I mean, some of his fouls in decision-making are horrendous, but he could be a much, much more influential player in the NBL. And then also Cheatham. Cheatham is an unbelievable talent. So New Zealand is stacked with those 3 imports.
You're right. I think, Hammer, I've got Parker Jackson Cartwright slightly ahead of Lamb because he's been here longer. And I think that he drives them a little bit more, although I can live with your argument as well. But, dude, do you have to kill Sauce Williams like that? Sauce is a good dude. He's just trying to, play as hard as he can. Granted, I agree with you. It's not always as smart as he needs to be. But, they'll need him to play at a much higher level if Southeast Melbourne have any chance of figuring in the play-in scenario.
You're talking Southeast Melbourne, a chance to make the playoffs. You're kidding yourself, D. And I wasn't evaluating his personality. He seems like a great bloke. I'd love to have a beer with him, love to have a chat. But when you're talking about as a fan being frustrated about a guy, Mike Kelly will leave him in with 3 fouls in the second quarter and trust him. And within 30 seconds, he gets his 4th foul. I mean, it's bad. He needs to be able to continue to grow as a player if he's going to reach his full potential, which I think can be a dominating factor in the NBL.
We've been talking about the fact that the ladder is a logjam at the moment. When you look at the best players in the league, you guys have just mentioned a handful. Nathan Sobey, Pat Miller, DJ Vasiljevic as well, all having really good seasons. So it is tight, but I think there's no doubt that Bryce Cotton is leading the way. Let's talk NBA trade because the window closes in a few weeks and there are murmurs and things building at the moment. D, what is a key move that you want to see and what is something that needs to happen?
Well, Joe, let's touch on something that we've been going on about for a few weeks and months now, the Zach LaVine scenario. He must really be disliked. People just must not want him in the program because, Hammer, I look at this guy. He's still in his prime. He's a great offensive player. Clearly, he can add something to a scenario. What would I like to see? I'd love to see him go to maybe the Sixers or the Warriors. The only problem, if he goes to the Sixers, they're probably going to have to give up Tobias Harris, who suddenly refound himself, but he's in a contract season. So I'm not sure how that all will play out. But I think Levine has a personality. I think he fit in well with the Warriors. And Hammer, I might have to do the unthinkable and get rid of Clay.
Oh, you gonna shoot Bambi? Uh,
Hey,
that's I mean that is a big
everybody has
one,
to go.
but it makes sense. I mean, you're right. It makes sense. It's just whether they're prepared to do something like that with the influence that Clay has had and success that Clay's had for a long time. But I think it makes sense. I really do. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. You've got a couple of young guys there that are obviously making noise. Kaminga wants more court time, probably deserves more court time with the way some of the starters have been playing. But a little reminder, if you want your own team, have a look down the road. Have a look at Poole and what he's done when he goes, yep, I've got my own team, and he's laid the golden egg because he has been terrible in Washington. So you got to be a little bit careful what you wish for sometimes.
Hammer, just one more. The Lakers, they need a change if they're really going to make a push, because they're pretty trash at the moment, let's be honest. What kind of a player do they need? Is it more of their playing abilities or more about their personality, obviously being able to deal with the big personalities that are there?
I'm shocked, Joe, that they're as bad as they are. Who would have called that at the start of the year, that they were going to be terrible, the Lakers, the way LeBron runs his team, GM LeBron. But, I mean, they need a lot. It's hard. I mean, when you talk about, massive changes, can they really win with LeBron? They're moving forward. I just think there's so much
Yes.
self-interest with everything that he does. You really think I don't. How anyone that goes there, it's going to be tough for them to be able to have a real influence, and for him to be able to hand the keys over to somebody to have the influence that they're capable of. I don't see it. I'm not sure that I'm not sure like a guy like DeRozan would want to be there personally, but maybe I'm wrong with that. I'm far more interested in what's happening probably with some of the other teams, including Golden State and the Sixers. The
Well,
Sixers are so much better since Harden's gone.
yeah. Well, Hammer, let me tell
So
you
the
this.
Clippers now, though, too.
First of all, Hammer, I love your fake empathy for the Lakers. You want LeBron to go down so bad, and you're trying to act like you have some type of, you feel for him in this situation. You hate the
I
Lakers. You
don't
hate
feel for him.
LeBron.
How have I tried to?
You're-
I'm very happy to see them do what they're doing. It's not that I hate LeBron. I just don't like the way he goes about it, particularly since he's been with the Lakers. And I think it's been predictable, everything that's happened over the last couple of years. And I've said it.
But check this out. The Sixers did get rid of Harden, and that's been good for them. But guess what, Hammer? The LA Clippers, they're a real threat to go deep into the playoffs, led by number 1-3. That guy is getting it. He's found himself. He's leading that team. He's exactly what Kawhi needed. He's exactly what PG needed. They needed somebody to go in there and lead and be strong with the ball. And I think they look good with his ball dominance.
You think they can win the championship?
I didn't say anything about that. I said they look better. And do I think they can win the
Mate,
championship? To quote you, I think they can, but I don't think they will.
mate, they've got James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and you're pumping them up, but you're not confident they can win a championship? Surely, mate, they can win a championship. If you're that happy with that combination and the way Harden's playing, surely you'd have to have some sort of belief that they can win it with that talent. What else do they want? They want a fifth superstar, do they?
I do have some belief that they can win it. They put all those guys together, and they're all clicking. Could they beat a Denver? Does Denver still have the same level of hunger after winning a championship? The West is wide open. Phoenix is horrible. They're terrible. Who else is a threat?
Well, all I'm saying is, mate, if you don't have the confidence for that talent to be able to win it, then there's something wrong. And the thing that's wrong is it's Harden. I just don't think that he's a winner. I don't think he's going to be able to lead that team. Sure, they've gone through a stretch of winning games in the regular season, so they should win games in the regular season with that. But I think you're right about the fact that it's all open. I don't think they'll get it done. I think at the end of the day, they'll fall short. And I can't wait to see the end of this season and see what happens after the the trade period, to see who really sort of gets some sort of momentum going into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly right. I think Dee hit the nail on the head there. Keyword being Denver. Alrighty, guys, we got to keep things moving. Dee, thanks so much. As always, we'll catch you next time.
No problem, guys.
All right, time to talk SuperCoach now. NBL commentator Nathan Strempel is with us, looking very suave, I might add. Nathan, I need all the help that I can with this. Talk us through what is happening at the moment.
What do you mean you need all the help, Jojo? I got beaten head-to-head this week by Hammer. I'm waiting for a baby to come any day now, but I'm still doing my SuperCoach research, and I'm grateful that coming off the holiday season, we've got most of the teams on doubles, only 4 teams. Perth, no double game. Melbourne, no double game. Cairns, no double game. And Southeast Melbourne, Phoenix. So stay away from those. But any other teams, you can take the pick from whatever talent you like. Hammer, I think I need to hand over the expert hat to you.
Well, I'm not going to get too carried away right now, but I will be interested to see what decisions you're going to make, mate, because as you say, a lot of teams on doubles, which way are you going to go to be able to improve your team and try and get one back on me, pal?
Well, I do have some work to do. It is a case now, though, we're only 5 rounds away from the end of the season, so you can start planning towards the end. So it's teams like Illawarra, teams like New Zealand that do play a bunch on double game rounds throughout towards the end of the season. So maybe it's a Sam Froling or Gary Clark from Illawarra. Or if you're thinking short term, the Adelaide 36ers have just found a turn of form. They've turned towards those main 4 guys in Isaac Humphries, Wiley, DJ Vasiljevic and Trey Kell that are playing a lot. So maybe short term you want to use them, boost up your score, and then see out the rest of the season with someone else.
Nath, I'm pretty much at my salary cap. Have you got any cheap smokies that you can give us a bit of insight about?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. This is where I think the break is really coming into play, because we see Will McDowell-White coming back from injury, Zylan Cheatham coming back from injury. So they're priced a little bit lower. So one of those two would be a good one to look at. Or maybe Lockie Olbrich is just trying to find some form towards the end of the season. Now, he's still fairly cheap. But do remember, next week, Perth go on double games, and I know we're chatting to him later in the show, but Bryce Cotton is absolutely tearing the league apart. So if you can go cheap this week, maybe save some cash to get Bryce in your team next week to finish out the rest of the season.
If anyone doesn't have Bryce in their team already, they are doing it wrong. I've got to say that. Nate, love your work. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything from a family point of view as well. Can't wait to hear the news.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I'm pleased to say a 3-time NBL champion Bryce Cotton joins us now from Perth. Bryce, great to have you on the basketball show. You guys are playing inspired basketball right now. What is the feeling like as a group? You had a bit of a bumpy start, of course, but you've managed to turn it around incredibly well.
I mean, honestly, we just kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other. We're aware of, how we're playing at the moment, but we try not to get too ahead of ourselves, because all that matters is the next game. So just trying to stay even keel, I would say, is the biggest message.
Bryce, I want to take you back to the time that it was a little bit more difficult. What were the key things that really turned your season around? There was a lot of pressure on John Riley. The fans were going off. You probably had belief that it was always going to turn around. But what were the key things that allowed that?
The biggest turnaround, I think, is when we had a team meeting. I forget which loss it was, but everybody got everything off their chest that they needed to say, whether it was stuff that they were dealing with themselves or issues they felt kind of within the team that we needed to fix. But everything that needed to be said was said, and luckily everybody was receptive to everybody's feelings, I guess, from them vocalizing whatever they felt. And I think from that game on, the next game was Adelaide, and we came out with a win, and I think that was kind of what started turning the wheels.
Can you give us an insight into the kinds of things that were said in that meeting, Bryce?
Nah, I can't give you that, but you could just tell, like, everybody was kind of in their own world, dealing with things, trying to figure out where they fit in with the team and, how can they maximize themselves for the betterment of the team. So by us kind of understanding where everybody sat on the fence, instead of us just all being in our own heads, it helped us help each other out.
Well, it certainly felt like from the outside anyway that, playing a few more role players, everybody accepting their roles, there's no doubt that you became more of the focal point in the offense, like everyone probably thought you would have been anyway, and got more usage, and you've been able to go back and wind back the clock and do what you do, really.
Yeah, I don't know about that wind the clock back statement. I'm still not old, so it's still just the same old same.
Although when I say wind back the clock, your numbers were severely down at the start of the
Oh
season.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I said on the show that, because there was people questioning where you were at in your career. And to me, it looked like that the system just didn't fit. They weren't prioritizing you for everything that you'd done in the past. Your usage was down. There wasn't as many role players that were prepared to set screen, come back to you on dribble handoffs. And I felt like that was a significant change in the way you guys played.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah. And yeah, it was just a very weird thing because I felt like in the preseason, we looked like a well-oiled machine, and then once the regular season came around, it was just like we all kind of lost our mojo for those 4 or 5 weeks it was. But then, yeah, we slowly got back to it though. So better late than never.
Where is the belief at with the team at the moment? How confident are you guys that you can win another chip?
Like I said before, it's one game in front of the other. We got a game on the 13th, I think it is. So that's all our focus is. We still got to make sure we make the playoffs. I've seen crazier things happen, so we never count our chickens before they hatch. But yeah, we'll worry about that when the time comes or if it comes.
Mate, I want to talk about the Boomers. One, did you watch their last tournament? Do you still want to play for the Boomers? And where's all that at? Because I think that you would just play the perfect role to be able to help the Boomers get back on that podium.
Yeah, I watched a couple games. I didn't watch every single one of them, but I'm kind of over it. The process has just been so annoying, and I guess some of the obstacles we dealt with, it's turned me off. So I don't really care to play. I still wish them the best, but I have no desire to play for them.
If the opportunity presented itself and it could be a smooth process from here on in, would you want to?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I mean, that's disappointing as a past Boomer that, and it sounds to me like the process really wasn't embraced from Basketball Australia and them putting their weight behind really trying to make that happen anyway from the outside anyway.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, it was just so many obstacles, and it just seemed like, the old dangling carrot is right there. We're so close, and then when you think you're going to turn the corner, it's another hiccup. So just dealing with that for years is, yeah, enough was enough. But still no hard feelings for any of the players, nothing like that. Like, I really wish them the best, but I have no desire to play.
Bryce, I want to ask you about Alex Sarr. He's obviously projected to go number one at the draft. What has he been like to work with and be around this season, knowing what his future essentially looks like?
It's been great. I've said before, somebody who's supposed to be a lottery pick, potentially number one, the fact that he has no ego really stands out to me. Whether it's one of the main guys on the team giving him some advice or a guy that doesn't play at all, he kind of receives it all the same. And I think that's going to be a testament to how good he can be as he continues to go throughout his career, just because he's willing to learn from anybody.
And how do you see him in the NBA? What are some of the traits that you think he'll be able to grow into? He's so young at the moment, and he's had such an impact on our league at a young age. But what are some of the areas that you think he'll grow into and the impact he can eventually have?
I think especially as he probably bulks up in size, he'll be able to dwell in the pick and roll game, and obviously playing in FIBA rules versus the rules of the NBA, the style's a little bit different. And I think everybody got to see how well he fit that system when we played in Vegas. And from stretch. What do you call it? Stretch and hitting those threes off the pick and roll, lob threats off the pick and roll. Like he was a monster. So I think he's going to thrive in that spacing for sure, if that makes sense.
There's obviously a lot of talk around someone of his caliber with the draft coming up that he's likely to get shut down in the coming weeks, especially now with the injury that he's going through. Is that something as a player that you're aware of and you're looking to the other guys to have to step up? Have you had those conversations around the group of what potentially could happen?
No, we don't worry about a lot of what ifs or anything like that. Alex has got to do what he's got to do. We haven't talked about it, but at the end of the day, if he's got the potential to be a number one pick, whatever he decides to do, that's his business, and nobody can fault him for that because he's got to look after himself. But yeah, we're not carving up what if scenarios. We'll cross the bridge when it comes.
Mate, the NBL ladder is so log-jammed at the moment, so even across the board, which is great for fans. But I want to ask you, who's the best team you've played?
I mean, the way this league has been so far this year, it's hard to say because I feel like the best team changes. And what I mean by that, obviously Melbourne's been top of the ladder, but different teams peak at different times. So earlier in the year, you could say Melbourne United. New Zealand had been playing great lately, but yeah, I don't think it's any one particular answer, and it won't matter anyway until the end of the season. But and then we've been playing great as well, so it's just a logjam of everybody, I guess, taking the torch for every couple games and passing it on to the next team that's rolling.
What's JR like to work with? Every now and again, especially watching the press conferences, you get a bit of character. He loves a one-liner. He and Keanu seem to have a bit of a laugh all the time. What is that relationship like from your point of view?
Yeah, he's a player's coach. It obviously helps that he played in this league for quite some time and was a great player. So he still has that fire about him, and I think especially throughout this season, throughout the highs and lows, he's kind of always led from that belief and that confidence that he carries about himself, and we feed off that as a team. I think especially some of the younger guys definitely do as well, and I love having that with him. It's great to have a coach that you feel is wired a lot of the ways that you are mentally.
Well, mate, we wish you luck for the rest of the season. You've put on that MVP form. No doubt you're going to get that sort of accolade, and I wish you luck towards the end of the season as well. You're playing some inspired basketball.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Hammer, that's just about all we've got time for. The basketball show, as always, thanks to Code Sports, Boost Mobile, and the Throwback Store. Great to chat to Bryce Cotton. Quick one, though. Alex Sarr. Are we seeing him on an NBL court again, or is he being shut down?
Oh, I'll be shocked if he isn't shut down at some stage. If it's not now, it has to be in the future because he's already proven he's a number one pick. That's what he was here for. Get experience, rise up the charts to number one. He's got it done. He will get shut down, and they've all done their job.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you there. Also, shout out to my man, Eric Spoelstra, Miami coach. Started as a video coordinator almost 30 years ago. He's now just signed an 8-year, $120 million contract. So well-deserved. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. And he's the master coach, so well done to them.
Exactly right. All right, it's been a lot of fun. Big show as always. We'll catch you guys next week.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.